Jim and I met at church when I was 15, the first time we met, and we didn't start dating until I was 17.
She says, you know, I really haven't gotten to know you very well. Maybe we could go out to dinner sometime. So I joke that she asked me out the first time, which is a good thing because I would have never had the nerve to do it.
We both ended up going to Bible school, and we both thought we were going to be missionaries. And we got married when I was 19, and Jim was, I guess, 23. And so we were young married people, and we lived and breathed at church. We worked at the church. You know, we kind of went right from college life to having children, and we didn't know what we were doing. And I stayed home, and Jim worked a lot of hours.
We didn't have a lot of downtime in our early years of marriage. We were either busy with work, school, ministry, or we were dealing with, you know, just children, because children came along about the time that I graduated.
I was home constantly, and Jim was at work all the time. And for me, I think it started becoming lonesome. I would say we started to drift, where we started living separately, where he went to work and did his thing, I stayed home with the kids, did my thing.
We had kind of a busy marriage there, you know, especially dealing with the small children. We now have 3 children, and you know, it got kind of busy. There wasn't a whole lot of us time.
But our marriage still was not, you know, cohesive. It just wasn't. But we didn't know. We just thought our marriage was like everybody else's.
I was spending so much time working and so much time ministering to other people's kids. I wasn't spending any time at all with my own kids. And the time I was spending with my wife was preparing for youth ministry. Things started kind of going downhill between Jenna and I, and we weren't connecting.
A lot of my past as a teenager affected greatly my marriage, and every relationship that I had that was serious, you know, ended up being a physical thing, because you just want someone to really care about you and really just love you. In the search of that, what I really found was a lot of hurt. I think by the time I married Jim, I actually had no self-esteem left.
I remember, I mean, there was a lot of arguments, a lot of fights. There was no connection with us whatsoever. There was nothing emotional, physical, nothing.
We had nothing. We had no connection. We had no love for one another, no daily interest in what the other was doing. And so you just grow further and further apart.
We were roommates, more or less, and not very good ones at that. We were not really in any sense husband and wife.
You know, but we looked like the real Christian couple, the couple that you would want to model your life after. But in reality, it wasn't that at all. We were playing the church game, really. We were coming in and doing the whole smiling and praising Jesus, you know. But in reality, we were falling.
Things got progressively worse at that point. We didn't even, you know, we didn't act like we liked each other, much less loved each other anymore. So the interaction between us during that time was about as low as you possibly can be and still live in the same house.
I just was thinking, I can't do this. I just thought, I am not happy. A lot of my thought patterns started becoming about me, and I'm not happy. I can't believe that God created marriage to be this way. I mean, there's just no way that this can be right, you know, in the Christian world. You know, and I didn't want to live like that anymore.
Conversations were pretty much informational only, unless they were heated, argumentative. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't a pleasant environment to live in.
He said to me, "Do you love me?" And I said, I don't even know if I answered, because I thought the answer would probably not come off very well, but in my mind, I was thinking, I guess I don't. I guess I just don't. And after that, I told God, I said, if you created marriage, this is terrible. This stinks. I can't believe that you created something like this. Why would you do that?
I had no idea how bad it had gotten, but it obviously had gotten bad.
I started seeing these people that were Christians for 30 years and then they just would fall off, and I would think, so it's not going to work? Are you kidding? So I'm doing all this. I'm trying to live by this high standard and it's not going to work. Are you kidding?
My wife and I were the poster couple for a Christian marriage. We were doing all the right things, so to speak, outside. We're not doing any of the right things inside our home. And there's a price to pay for that. And then came D-Day.
Well, D-Day is what I call the day that the bomb fell at our house. Like I was just done. You know, I don't think he realized that. And even at that moment, I thought, this isn't going to go well, because there's no way. There's just, you know, if you look at it in the natural, there is no way this is salvageable. It's just not salvageable.
Jenna revealed to me that she had an exit plan, that she was done with our marriage, and that it was over. And I was devastated. She was done with me, more or less, and she was leaving, and I was going to be alone.
And so I got him in our room and I told him, I said, I'm just going to go out here and sleep out here. And he just said, no, I want you to stay.
As she was getting ready to walk out of the room, I'm not really sure why, but I asked her if she would stay and talk to me for a couple moments.
So I just sat on the bed and I was just talking to him.
I have no recollection of what she was saying, because I was having another conversation, because God was talking to me. Probably the most supernatural thing that I've experienced as a Christian. I could sense that there was a window that was closing. And I heard, not audibly, but I heard the Lord say to me, if you want her, take her now. I sat straight up in the bed while she was talking in mid-sentence, and I grabbed a hold of her, and I pulled her to me, and I hugged her as hard as I could hug her, and I said, I still love you.
And he just, I mean, I'm mid-sentence, I don't even know what I was saying, and he just sat up and he just hugged me, and he goes, I love you.
And I could almost feel the walls that she had built up between us falling. She just melted, and she said, I love you too.
But at that moment, it was like every wall that was ever there, every piece of, you know, of the past, everything just fell. I mean, like that. Like it just fell. I couldn't believe it, you know. It was just like being healed of cancer. It was like that. It was like going to the doctor, you're gonna die, and then, you know, the next week you go in and they can't find it anywhere. It was that.
I mean, it was unreal. And so I think even for us, that's why I think we just kept waking up, and it's like, did that really happen? Are we okay? I mean, and it was almost like we were afraid to let go of each other. That next morning when we got up, I think we just prayed, and we knew that day that there was not going to be a day that would go by that we were not going to pray together, or at least pray for each other. And
you have to know that we didn't do that before. We were able to share what had happened between us. We were able to, you know, kind of see what had gone wrong. And what happened for me personally was that blinders started falling off my eyes. And then I would see things clearly. I saw what God was seeing instead of what I was believing, the lie I was believing. And then I would say to him, oh my gosh, I just now see this. And then, you know, a little bit later, I'd see the next thing. Now I have these feelings for him, and I'm thinking, where did that? So God changed my heart. God didn't just make it tolerable.
He took us to way beyond anything that we ever were. He took our marriage to a level that we didn't know was possible, because it really was nothing that we'd seen before. Before we couldn't pray, I felt for a long time I wished I could have prayed with her, but I felt guilty about it because she knew me better than anybody. She knew all of my faults, and I felt like a hypocrite to pray in front of her when in reality that was the very thing I needed to do. So now, I mean, there's not been one day that's gone by that we have not prayed together. It's not an option because we know how desperately we need God. We saw what we were capable of in marriage.
We cut down all of our commitments at church even. But, we felt like we needed that time.
Yeah.
And then to take those things as they come prayerfully and not get overcommitted, because that was always our bent, because we like to help and we want to minister, but we don't want to get so far over the other end that we start doing the same thing again.
I know now that I have to spend time with God, and I have to spend time with God, with my wife.
You can't do it apart from God. You just can't. And we try to. We did for years. We did all the right things. But you can't live your life apart from a relationship with Jesus. You just can't. And it's just not negotiable. And so you can try to put in all the things that we said and then leave out God, but you can't. You won't get very far. There is nothing that is impossible. I mean, just nothing. I mean, really, if you're willing to walk with God, and you will submit it, all of it, all the junk, every last bit of it, to Him, He will heal your marriage. There's no doubt in my mind. But we have to do it His way. And, all those years, we did it our way. But we wrapped it in a Christian package, but we really, we weren't doing it His way.
I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me is that we have actually established that spiritual time together with the Lord that we never had ever before.
God did do it. He did it right. And God created marriage to be beautiful and wonderful and all those things that we always imagined that it would be. And then after we got married, we kind of found out maybe it's not that, but it really is that. And it really can be that. Love is real. All those things about love and relationship, all those things are real. But we have to do it God's way if we want Him. So that would be my answer. I guess it'd be up to you. If you want that, then go seek God, and He'll take you there if you're willing to listen.